Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and dreams that you dare to dream will and do come true. So what happened was today, for the first time in like months, I was able to get away from work and go home at a good time. Wow, it's 5:55 right now. That's crazy. I've been seeing a lot of repeating numbers lately. Some people don't believe in it, but I always take it as a good sign. 555 is actually a pretty good sign. I'm just using the light from my laptop to light me up. I ended up buying a new microphone because I've been having a lot of issues with my mic. I just wanted to make a video. The thing is, I think I made a video when I was 23 where I was hiking up in the woods. I'm not gonna say the hiking trail because I want to go back there and I don't want people like, creeping there in the hopes that I'm there or anything like that. But I was in a hiking trail literally in the middle of the woods trying to figure out what my life purpose is. And I feel like I am circling back to the same question over and over and over again. But I have found the answer. Realizing this answer is making me mourn all the wasted years of stressing myself out for no reason. So I want to talk about when I went to Turkey. So my mom went to Turkey to go get her teeth fixed and I came along. And one thing that just really frustrated me was seeing how happy people were. Just like when I was there, it's like there's a big contrast between how people act here in America and how people act over there. So over there in Turkey, we were in Istanbul, like the capital. And I was always walking around exploring different shops and stuff. But one thing I noticed for sure when walking around in Turkey was how content and peaceful people were with their lives. And it frustrated me because I was never happy with where I was, what I was doing. I was never happy with who I was as a person. I was very, very, very hard on myself. So when I was in Turkey, I would see like a middle-aged man sitting in a coffee shop and just sitting there. He's not on his phone. And he looks so happy with life. Like he's just sipping his coffee and just sitting there, sitting in his own presence. And he was happy with it. And I've always wondered, why are you happy? Damn. So like when I was in Turkey, I was just so shocked because it was just like the place felt so different than America. And another thing that I noticed was also when I was in Somalia, even though people had not much to their name, just the clothes off their back, it was just the way people were living their life that was, it was just like, I'm not saying like everyone was like do like super duper happy with themselves, but there was something about how people individually were existing, but they were happy with their existence. They were not beating themselves up for existing. And I think that's the key to what my purpose in life is. So I know I'm sounding crazy right now, but I'm in the zone. So if you guys can keep up, you can keep up. But I realized that all this time searching for my purpose, searching for who I am as a person, my purpose isn't to be like a super useful, important person in society. My purpose is to just exist. Now, hear me out. One thing that I was really beating myself up about is there was a relative that kind of insinuated this. Oh, she went to college. She did all this just to become a mail person, just to deliver mail. But the thing is, the only reason why that triggered me a lot is because I've beat myself up over this idea like I have to become successful. I have to be a show-stopping, sensational person. I need to cure cancer. I need to, like, I've lived my whole life being told that I had a purpose of changing people's lives and changing the world, and that I was so smart and I had so much potential and that I was destined to change people's lives in such a fantastic way. So my problem is when that relative basically said that, like, oh, we saw you go to a good university, you graduated with a degree, you finished your 4 years, you're a first generation college graduate, you did all these things, but all you do is just deliver mail. So, like, one thing that triggered me about it is because I've always, like, no one will ever beat me up verbally more than I do to myself. So, like, one thing that was triggering about this person was like, well, you've never done anything with your life. You've never tried to do things with your life. You've never tried to achieve anything in your life. So who are you to talk to me? So, like, I was triggered, but then I had to really sit and think back. Why are there people in Turkey who are baristas and they're very happy and content with their life? Or why are there people who are receptionists and they don't, like, I'm not saying they don't strive to be better or strive to do more, but they are happy with where they are and they're happy with their existence right at that moment. And I had to really sit and think about it, like, what is my purpose in life, and why does it seem like people from other countries don't really drill into their brains what their purpose in life is? And I realized that all these years of beating myself up for pretty much no reason was because of, I know I hate being that person, but it's because of our very extreme capitalistic society. I realized that in America specifically is one of the only countries that makes you feel guilty for existing without being productive at every second of every moment of your life. And my problem is, as long as the job makes me somewhat content, like, I'm like, okay, the job is a job is a job. At the end of the day, I learned that finally, after all these years of searching since I was a kid, that your purpose in life is to just exist and just see where it takes you. And I think I finally figured out the answer. For me, I think the purpose that people have in their lives is to just exist. And yeah, I'm not saying it in like a trad wife type of way. I'm not saying it in like a trad wife conservative, like, oh, I need to be taken care of. I just need to exist to be valuable in a relationship. I'm not saying it in that kind of way, but I'm saying, like, literally, if you make, and the thing is, like, I learned that all you need to do is be present. Your purpose in life is to be present. I am here. And one thing that I realized for years is that I would journal about how my life needed to get better and I need to do more and I need to prove to other people. And it was just like, it was such an exhausting existence, I was like, oh, I need to wear makeup so I am treated better by society, and wearing a full face of makeup every single day. And it's hard to explain. It's not the makeup. It's like never living for yourself at the end of the day. It's like constantly trying to gain social currency from how you're perceived by the outside world. It's never, oh, well, I like to what? It's like constantly filtering who you are as a person or what you naturally gravitate towards and being like, but how would I react if someone else perceived me and saw me doing this? So, like, one thing that I can't stand about being in America, I'm not gonna lie, is this mentality like, oh, you can't just sit by yourself and sip some coffee and just exist. And I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like pretty much lately while I was doing work, I've been working longer hours again. So I've been working 12-hour shifts, but I feel like I've reached a level of, oh, as long as I just exist, I'm good. It's like my life purpose, if I'm gonna be honest, is not doing 12 hours of work every single day, right? But then I was asking myself, why am I happier now doing this work, even though, like, because, like, when other people, if I ever told people like, hey, I deliver mail, so I sit in a van and I deliver mail, and that's it, that's all. They would be like, oh, but then the thing is, I realized that the reason why people from other countries are so happy is because their purpose has nothing to do with their job. Their purpose is to just exist, and there's not a lot of what you call it, there's not this extreme hierarchy of who's more valuable in society based off of what you do. It's like you are whatever you say you are, So like in Somalia, there are some people who just own a market or like own a shop, and their life purpose isn't owning the shop. It's just what they do outside of the shop. Oh, who is this person? Oh yeah, she owns a shop. Yeah, but how's her kids? How's her family? You know what I mean? So then I realized all these years of, I wouldn't say, depression and anxiety was because of years and years of drilling into my brain that I was not valuable unless I was a doctor, because I needed to save lives in order to make a difference in people's lives, which isn't true. It's just like every step of the moment. It's just like one thing I realized though is this. A lot of the rejections that I had over the years, I'm very thankful for them, because even though I didn't really understand what my life purpose was when I was younger, I am very, very happy that I did so much to filter out what I actually didn't want to do. So then I realized that the only way you can find contentment with your job or what you want to do in life is by figuring out what you don't like to do. So one thing I'm really grateful for is that I did go into college being a pre-med student and also being a nursing assistant, and realizing I did not want to go into healthcare in general. I'm happy that I really pushed myself all these years to gain all this experience in life, because it taught me what I didn't want in life. And I think that was really important. So like pretty much when I was a nursing assistant, I realized that I couldn't handle death. Mentally, I couldn't do it. It was too much. So I was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. Even though people kept saying, well, you're so good at it, which is something I can't stand. Let me tell you. So like, how in America specifically is one of the only countries where you can be good at something, and the first thing people do is see dollar signs. They are never like, oh, well, you're a very empathetic person and you have great leadership skills. I know you said that you don't want to go into healthcare, but you're perfect for the job. Even if I say like, well, I can't handle death, I can't handle it mentally, I don't think this is my purpose, I don't like this. Have a nice day. Because like, I don't think people understood, like, till this day, I think about this one resident that I was taking care of at the assisted living facility that I used to work at. And it's till this day is just really traumatizing how people are like, I just walked into my shift. So last night, the night before, I was like, why is this woman so excited? Like, she's too alert, she's too excited. She really wanted to call her daughter. And she was like calling her. And I was just like, what's this lady's problem? Why is she calling? But then I would try to help her call her daughter, but her daughter wasn't answering, and she was very active. Like, this woman needed assistance to get to the bathroom. She needed assistance every step of the way. She was physically not able to do anything most of the time. So then she would ring her pager, and I would go to her, and she was one of my favorite residents at the time. And I remember that day so vividly because I went to it was like I did a double shift. So I worked that day from like 6 to 3 and then 3 to 11, just so I can make some more money, I guess, or it was understaffed. I don't remember why, but I just remember being so done because I was like, why is she so hyper? I'm going to see her tomorrow. Whatever she got, I hope it doesn't happen tomorrow. And I didn't really mean it like that, but basically the very next day, I come in to do the same schedule where that resident lived, and then in front of the receptionist was a picture of that resident basically saying, rest in peace. Astaghfirullah. I'm trying not to cry, but pretty much that was very traumatizing. Like, I was like, whoa, she died? Crazy work. The thing is, like, I remember how everyone was just like, like, whatever, she died, who cares? But it was like the way I couldn't like compartmentalize. There you go. I couldn't you know what, that word, I couldn't do that when it came to like death and then going back to work like it was nothing. And the way everybody was just like, well, the clock is working, you gotta move, and there was no time to mourn, there was no time to do anything. It was just constant, you gotta keep going. I was like, hell nah, I'm out of this. No way. There is no way that I'm going to form deep connections with people, whether I like it or not, and then have to deal with them passing away over and over and over again. I can't do it. And it's just like in general, I just didn't like healthcare like that, because it's like, clearly, if I did not like being a nursing assistant, I would not like being a nurse, you know? So I was like, I don't know. So like, the thing is, instead of people hearing this and being like, okay, well, she clearly mentally cannot handle people passing away. She can't handle it mentally. This is not her purpose. She doesn't like doing this. Instead of people hearing that, you know what they do? They turn it around and they're like, well, you're so good at it. You should just do it because you'll make a lot of money. And that's the thing, like, I think that was the key, the issue that I had when it came to pursuing a purpose in life, is just don't do what you don't want to do. And don't let people bully you into being like, well, you could make money though. Well, you can make money though. So another thing is with crochet. I stopped crocheting for a very long time because I always felt pressure to make things because I had to finish them. Because I needed to prove to other people, basically currency, constantly proving to other people that I was good at something and I could do it, and not doing it for the sake of just doing it. I was doing it so like I could be like, oh, see, I finished this. So then because I couldn't finish most things because I have ADHD, I was like in this state of like, oh, I have to finish this project even though I don't want to do it, or feeling pressure to make something for other people and then not enjoying it. So one thing I can't stand is like hobbies in general. If you're good at crocheting, like for me, when I was good at crocheting, it's like, oh, why don't you start an Etsy business? Why don't you start a business? It's like, y'all, don't let the capitalistic society run you to the ground. There is no need to do something well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is the only sole purpose of doing anything in this country to make money? You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, it's kind of like, So then I get frustrated because it's like, so it's just like, it's frustrating because it's like, let's say I know how to make a balloon arc. People are like, well, why don't you start a business for balloon decoration? Why don't you start a business? It's like, no, I only wanted to learn how to make a balloon arc because I wanted to learn it. Is because purely I wanted to learn how to make a balloon arc. Why do I have to make a business out of it? It's just like this constant like, you have to make something out of this. You have to. And it's like, no, I don't. Why can't I just make balloon arcs just because I want to? Why can't I make a crochet hat without the whole universe up and down the whole wide world telling me to start a business off of it? So I realized that you can have like a purpose by just existing as a person and then just doing your job and calling it a day. So the reason why I'm happy with my job as a mail carrier is because, one, I'm not really being controlled by toxic people the way I was in other jobs, in the sense where, like, as someone with ADHD and just a lot of issues with sensory, like, it's just like one thing I can't stand is like a passive aggressive boss manager that you are stuck dealing with from the morning to the night. Absolutely not. So one thing I like about my job is that as soon as I'm in the road, or even in my case, as long as I'm doing my job, no one bothers me, no one harasses me. I mean, unless I am training somebody, I don't have to deal with other people. So I have the freedom of doing my own thing. I get to clock in, just case and mind my business, and then pull down, and then take it to the street. The only time it's stressful is obviously when I have to work long hours. So working the long hours for me is worth it only because I don't have to deal with, like, let's say 4 or 5 hours of dealing with a social environment where someone is being blacklisted and pushed out and treated like garbage, and dealing with like the whole unspoken social hierarchies and all that nonsense. So I like having that control, you know? So then, like, let me talk about SpongeBob for a second. So growing up, I've always watched SpongeBob. But the thing is, like, one thing I learned about SpongeBob is that the reason why he's so happy with his life is because he allows himself to just exist as a person. And I know SpongeBob is just a cartoon, but for me it had a lot of meaning. I loved SpongeBob as a kid. I watched it obsessively. The first 5 seasons, chef's kiss. Or no, first 3 seasons are perfect. 4th and 5th I'll tolerate. Everything after that I don't like it. Okay? So it's I love SpongeBob growing up. And I think one thing I was always jealous of SpongeBob for is especially when I was a kid, I realized our purpose in life is to live like a child, not in a immature way. But basically, you know how SpongeBob just exists as a person? He clocks into work. He does not let situations at work affect him. And then he clocks out and then does things he loves to do anyways. And he does not another thing is that this is crazy work why I'm using SpongeBob to talk about the purpose of life. But you know how Mr. Krabs was trying to make SpongeBob make his hobby of catching jellyfish and finding jam or jelly, jellyfish jelly. So it's Mr. Krabs immediately saw his hobby as an opportunity to make money off of him. But then SpongeBob was like, no, I don't want to. Leave me out of this capitalistic factory and let me go back to, catching jellyfish. I realized that even SpongeBob, as silly and how he acts, it's he also recognized the importance of separating work from play. So one thing I learned also with my purpose in life is when I say exist in the present moment, is to feel things immediately. You know what I mean? So one thing I learned is that I used to pride myself in being a unemotional, I don't care kind of person, and how I would brag about how I could go a whole year without crying. But then I was always wondering why I was so miserable with myself and why I was always so angry at the world, at other people. But I learned that the reason why children are able to let go and they're allowed to and the thing is the reason why they're always able to just let go of things that happen to them in the current moment is because they allow themselves to feel. So one thing I learned with capitalism is or just in this society, you're not allowed to feel your emotions. You're supposed to bottle them in because you're an adult and you need to be mature. But then I learned that the reason why children are able to live in the present moment is because they're allowing themselves to feel. So there were times at this job where I would be in this bathroom right here, and I would just start crying, or I'd have the feeling to cry. But for years, I would just hold it in, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Just because it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you don't want to be up? What a baby. That's how I used to think before. So I would never let myself cry. But then recently, a few months ago, when I had that feeling I just don't feel good about myself, let me cry, and I just cried it out. You know what? I felt better. I'm not even gonna lie. And there were times where I would cry and then I would feel worse and cry some more. And then I'd go the whole day not feeling good. But it's just how do you explain it? I learned that you have to, you know how some kids sometimes they don't know what's wrong with them, and as parents you're supposed to be oh, let's find out. Are they sick? Or are they just tired? Are they just going through something? Let's just get them food. Okay, it's not working. Okay, let's get them a bath. Oh, it's not working. Let's do this. Basically, your purpose in life is to treat yourself like you are a child, in the sense where you have to be the responsible parent to your subconscious self. So, or inner child, whatever that is. So basically, that's what I started doing. If I don't feel good about myself, okay, it's time to eat. It's time to take a shower. Let's do some breathing exercises. And if it still doesn't work and you're still upset, okay, oh well. But it's I realize your purpose in life is to just take things one day at a time and just exist as who you are, no matter how happy or positive or how sad or miserable you are. Take yourself in every aspect of your life. So then I realized and the thing is with this society, I guess, I don't know if it's just America or if it's everywhere, but it's you have to constantly be in this performance, especially with social media. You have to prove to everyone how happy you are with your life decisions. Every second of every moment, you have to prove to people that you're so productive, and you're so content and happy with your life at every second, every moment of your life. But it's like, why should you? Because your life is not going to be happy or blissful every second of every day. And I know people say that all the time, but it's like, it's true though. Like, but the problem is, putting up a front constantly to other people is very exhausting. So I was asking myself, why do I feel better about myself? I feel better with my self-esteem. I'm not feeling as anxious anymore. I'm feeling like I can take one day at a time. Why? Is because I realized that my purpose in life is to just exist in all, as an entire person, as with the bad and the good. And also that my purpose is not constantly being productive, is to serve myself, I guess. I don't know if I'm making any sense of it. So I feel like one big issue I've always had with crocheting as well is not being able to make imperfect pieces. So it's just like, I made this recently. It's a baklava, but the thing is, I didn't follow the tutorial 100%. So like, you were supposed to just immediately chain this part. But what I did was I said, oh, I need extra room. So then what happened was I left like 3 rows and I kept going. But you know what I did when I was done? I wore this every day. Yes, ma'am. I wore this every day. And the thing is, hey, I used real wool to make this. And it's really, really beautiful. But here's another thing I learned with the purpose in life is that your purpose in life is not to create a product at a certain time just so you can go on social media and be like, I made this. It's like, your purpose in life is to take things one day at a time. You're a human being. So one thing I learned is like, even though I love videos about how someone made, I made this sweater and I made like 7, 8, 9 sweaters in 1 year. Here, let me show you all of it. It's like, even though it is really aesthetically pleasing, I like seeing those videos. You have to constantly remind yourself, like, just because other people are being more productive, or how to explain it, they produce more making something, does not mean that your work is less valuable than theirs, you know? So it's like, it is really, really hard though. It is very, very hard to remind yourself, I guess, that you just have to be. Not be productive, not be useful, not be a wife, a mom, not be a good hard worker. Your existence is just valuable in itself. It's like, but you know, I can't draw because I'm not good at it. No, you can draw because you want to. You know, so it's like, going back to SpongeBob, I think like, what was really interesting to me is like realizing that all you need to do is just exist. Because one thing I learned, that I was a big liar to myself, is that especially in the last like 6-7 years, I've been constantly told, oh my God, I love your presence. I love who you are as a person. We really need you to come to this event. We really need you to come here and there. And I've become less and less and less and less tolerant to being around people and socializing around other people. But I realized it's like, you don't have to be like a super social butterfly type of person. You don't have to be a useful person in the sense where you have to, like, people want you there because you can make certain things and this and that. Your purpose in life is to just exist as you are and try to figure out what you like, I guess, you know? So then I realized, like, I was so, you are a loser. You are nothing. You are nothing unless you have a career that makes X amount of money. You have to make it in this world. Your parents did not come to this country for you to suffer. But then I was sitting there thinking to myself, my parents came here before I was born. So bippity boppity boo. Why am I stressing myself out for what? Girl, boy, whatever. I was sitting there thinking to myself, my parents did not come here to give me a better life. They came to give themselves a better life. Themselves, y'all. Themselves. They came here before I was born. So what's 1 + 1? It's not 8. Well, I ate with this conclusion, but it's like, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I need to make my parents proud. Why? They came here out of their own free will. Why am I beating myself up so viciously over, you know what I mean? Like, why would my parents, I mean, maybe, but it's like, why would my parents want me to have basically clinical depression, pursuing something I don't want? Like, my goal in this world, my purpose in this world, like, if they are allowed to live their life and just exist as people, why can't I? Like, my purpose in life isn't to slave away doing something that I don't know whether or not I like to do because I need to prove to other people, aha, my parents did not come to this country in vain. No. They came to this country out of their own free will. So, and the thing is, like, I also told myself this, like, I would always beat myself up. Oh, you're nothing. Like, you need to learn more about, like, I don't know, your culture, and you need to not be as westernized as you are. You need to learn. And the thing is, like, the way I was learning Somali was in such a self-hating way. I was like, oh, you're a say wallahi, you need to learn your language. But I was sitting there thinking to myself, a lot of Somalis that come to America still don't know no English. So why am I beating myself up for? Like, I'm a product of my environment, the same way a lot of Somali Namo come to this country and they're a product of their environment. They're always thinking of their, like, diaspora. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but it's like they're, how do I put it in words? Pretty much like they grew up with their own circumstances. They grew up with their own environment, their own circumstances, their own existence of who they were, right? So it's like, why am I beating myself up for? Yes, I'm westernized because I grew up here. Maharabta. Baha. You know what I mean? Like, you can say I'm a say wallahi, but it's like, hey, I'm a product of my circumstances. There's nothing shameful of being a product of my circumstances. Why is my purpose in life to feel shame of who I am just naturally existing? My purpose is to just exist, damn it. Another thing is too, when it came to just in general, life, being as a person, like, one thing I had a lot of issues with in terms of self-esteem is, like, I always felt like I needed to constantly perform for other people, in the sense where it's like, I can't act like I care that much. I can't act like I am very enthusiastic about answering someone's phone call. I can't do this. So it was just a lot of unspoken, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was constantly doing the neurotypical, and I'm not trying to kind of go after neurotypical people all the time, but let's be so for real. I was like constantly like, oh, people are saying that if I answer the phone within the first 2 seconds, then that makes me look like this. Now listen, Linda, if I don't answer this phone and I let it ring and I will let it to go to voicemail to be like, so they know that I am a busy person. Best believe I'll forget you ever called. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If I see your text message within that very moment and I don't respond, best believe it will be left, and not even left on read. I will never click it. I read it, like, whenever someone, like, I'm not going to show my screen, but it's like whenever someone messages me and I read it and I'm like, oh, but I can't respond within the very first minute because, like, my time is valuable and I need to show that they can't just, like, access me. As someone with ADHD, you know, neurotypical, if I don't answer that phone, if I don't answer that text message, I will forget that message existed. So I have to live in a different way. So it's like, if someone wants to, just how I naturally exist, like, I will respond right away. If I'm texting, like, let's say in the future, if I ever text a man and, like, all these TikToks, constant TikToks of, oh, well, if you respond right away, it makes you look desperate. Now listen here. If he thinks I'm desperate and is not interested in me anymore from how I naturally exist as a person, how I naturally need to maneuver life, then he's not the one for me. You know what I mean? So I think that's my issue, right? One thing I couldn't stand about other women, and I'm not saying this in a pick-me-sha way, right? But like, I realized this innately, but I didn't understand it. It's like, if I don't like him, harabta. If I don't like this person that I see in front of me, if I'm not interested in him, then what do you want from me? Oh, but if you don't get married after a certain date and time, everyone's going to say, everyone's going to do, everyone. It's like, well, no. I just naturally am existing as a person, right? If I don't like him, I don't like him. I'm not thinking, oh, but society and you know, but I was starting to. So that's why I felt pressured to go on salams and muz to talk to guys, and I was traumatized, okay? So it's like I was pressured, you know? I was pressured. I was pressured to go on these sites, and I regretted it very badly. So it's like, yeah, I went on these sites because I was peer pressured constantly. Oh, you need to find a man. So it's like, yeah, like 2 years ago, I went on those sites because I was like, oh, well, apparently my value as a woman is going down because I'm aging, even though I'm just existing and minding my business and trying to figure out my purpose in life. So I was going through an existential crisis, you know, figuring out what's my purpose. Am I supposed to be a productive member? Blah, blah, blah. I was going through all that and feeling pressured in a way to show people, like, pretty much, not only do I need to be a financially successful person, the only way I can be socially valuable in the society is by getting married. And not just married, but he has to be a socially upstanding person so that I could rub it in. Not even socially upstanding, I just have to marry somebody, anybody with a pulse. And all of a sudden, other people are going to value you. But then I had to sit and think about it for a second. It's like, well, if he smells bad, but he's rich and everything, why would I want to be with him? Oh, you're being dramatic. You can teach him and you can... No, but if he just naturally, I don't like the way he smells. Like, why is it crazy to just be like, well, I'm just existing, right? And I just naturally don't like him. Oh, but he makes so much money. You'll be so happy with him. So that's where me and Sprinkle Lady go kaboom. Because for me, to be fair, Sprinkle Lady, Shira 7, right? She teaches that she teaches financial. She does not teach you to find love. She teaches you to find finance, like money, to make money off of a man. And she makes it very clear over and over and over and over and over again that her purpose when she makes her videos is to teach people how to be financially independent and to see men as not really like love, but to see it in a different way, right? So my thing is, I have the right to disagree. I have the right to be like, well, if I don't like his existence, I don't want to be with him. And I don't care how old I am, how long it's going to take. Just naturally, if I meet somebody and everyone's like, oh, you know, he likes the things you like, but then I just naturally don't like him, there's no... And I don't even need to explain anything to you. You know how people don't like me for no reason? They're like, there's something you... If I don't like someone naturally, maharabta. You know what I mean? So that's what bothers me so much. Yeah, like, am I making sense? I found my purpose and it makes me so happy. My purpose is to just exist. My purpose is not to be like, oh, well, time is passing and I haven't watched a show. I need to watch a show so I could go on social media and talk about it. My purpose is to make as many crochet pieces so I can show it on social media, or to prove to other people that I'm a productive member and blah, blah. No, my purpose is to just exist. If I don't want to make anything today and I just want to sit on my bed, then I can sit on my bed. You know, like, that's my purpose. Am I making sense, everybody? Anyways, let me change this, actually. I know I'm not really proving my point by showing you the things that I've crocheted, but I think it's pretty interesting to show what I'm crocheting while I'm ranting about such a life-changing discovery for myself. So let me show you another hat I've been making. I made this one, but it's too small. But guess what I did? I wore it to work because I didn't wear it so I could be like, oh my god, everybody, hey, check it out, I'm so talented. I wore it because I was like, no, it looks nice, kind of. And it was cold outside, so. Here's the thing though. I might be going to hell, but I feel like I look like a cancer patient, especially like when I turn to the side. I paid so much money for this microphone, but it keeps falling. Come on now. Yeah, but it's like I felt like for a minute I look like a cancer patient from the side, but hey, I wore this all yesterday. It's like it's a good size, but I feel like it should have been a little bit bigger to kind of hide the bump for my hair and stuff. And you see like the strays here? I don't give one damn. Nope, I don't give a damn. I will. So anyways, what's the point of this video? Yes, the point is to talk about my purpose. So my purpose is to just exist. And the thing is, the way I existed these last 2 months have made me really happy. It's like there was one night where I was like telling myself, you have to clean the house, you have to clean the house. But then when I came to the house, I was just so exhausted mentally because we worked so long and hard that day. Because people don't want to show up to work. So it's like, yeah, I just had a rough day. But it's like I was wondering to myself the whole day, if I don't do something with my free time, if I don't do something, then what's the point of life? Like I was really being hard on myself. But then, you know, that day I really didn't give a damn. I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't care. And I went to sleep. It's like the whole day mentally, while I was casing, while I was driving, I was like, no, you must make a YouTube video. You must clean your house. You must. And I was really like, really. But then when I came home, I was just like, you know what? I don't care. Literally ate, brushed my teeth, didn't even shower. I showered the next day, right? But I went straight to sleep at like 7 p.m. From 7 p.m. to like 5 in the morning, I was just sleeping. And you know what? Because for the first time, like I think this was 2 months ago, for the first time, I just let myself be. I was like, you know what? I just really need some sleep right now. I don't really care about being productive. I don't care about whatever mental bully that I have in my brain was telling me to do. I was like, no, I'm going to sleep. See ya. I slept good. I slept so good. I slept great. And then I woke up. And the thing is, like, that morning I was like, immediately there was that thought in my head getting weaker. Like, oh, well, since you went to sleep all day, you need to do this morning to prove. And it was just like, no, I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to eat and go to school and go to work. And slowly but surely, I started to feel more empowered with myself, because once I realized that my existence was all I needed in this world, it was just a really empowering thing. But I didn't know that this is what I was thinking. It was just how I was feeling. So I'm trying to explain how I was feeling to you guys now, because I just really wanted you guys to understand that. So yeah, like I was just feeling pretty good about myself. I went to work, and I just feel like slowly, carefully, I just realized, like, okay, just feel how you feel in the moment. And if you can't express it that moment, like if you don't like crying or nothing, nada, what you can do is like come back from the same day, I guess. If the same day you're feeling those emotions, express yourself, how frustrated you are, how angry you are at the situation. And for me, it's like crying now. I'm crying a lot more than I ever did in my life. For my entire childhood, honestly, till now, maybe until like 2-3 months ago, I wasn't very emotional. I'm telling you, I loved feeling this sense of like accomplishment, like, oh yeah, I'm so emotionally distant. But now I just told my therapist, like, I need to really sit down and talk about how I don't like having emotional connections with others. Is it normal? Or is it just me, how I am naturally? So we're going to go to therapy for that. But it's like pretty much, yeah, like just existing as who you are, but also trying to improve yourself, duh. So it's like, don't like take this as, oh, I don't need to work, I don't need to do nothing. It's like, yeah, you do. If you have to work, you have to work. But it's like, okay, so what? I don't really. So then I realized that I was in a space of peace that I realized that the people in Turkey and Somalia had. Because people in Somalia and Turkey work hard. I don't know what they do, but it's like they work hard just like everybody else. But they also know how to sit back and be like, exist, you know? And they don't tie their self-worth into anything. And they can just be. So like, that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, this is a very extreme example, but it's like, another thing I also was really frustrated with is like when it came to my YouTube videos, the ones where like I was like in the wilderness, I was hiking and I hiked up a hill and I was like walking up treacherous roads and I was really going through all this hard work to like walk up to a cold place. I think it was still winter at that time. I don't remember. I need to go back to that YouTube video, but it was like it got so many views and people really resonated with that video and they were like, thank you so much. And it was just like, but it was frustrating to me because it was like there were so many other videos where I went through all the trouble of being like, hey everybody, and making an intro and outro and vlogs to the like edited to the perfection, and people didn't give one hot diggity damn. They didn't care nothing, not a nothing about those videos. They liked the videos where I genuinely did not care, where I just opened the camera and was just like, I just need to say something and just talked. So like when I go back to the videos that I've made in the past, the video about how I got over eczema or how I cured it got so much attraction because I wasn't wearing no makeup. It's like I basically was not following all of the societal who your worth and everything needs to be. Like I wasn't following any of that. I was like, you know what? I have something to say and I'm opening this camera and I'm going to say it. So then that first, it was like one of the few moments where I was just innately deep down in my soul, just existing as who I was as a person, you know? So like that was the first time in a long time where I was just sitting down and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to exist and tell y'all what I feel about something. And I just sat and talked about it. Like, okay, this is what happened to me. This is how I lived. And this is how I came to a solution. And I like kind of cut the ums and ahs. And I just uploaded it. I didn't care about the thumbnail. I didn't care about nothing, nada. And the whole universe came and were like, we love your video. You know? You know? So it's like, but the thing is like when I actually tried and I wasn't like feeling it. Like, you know, I wasn't truly existing as who I was. I was performing what I wanted other people to see me as instead of who I truly was. You know what I mean? You know that moment when you're at a party and you're constantly on this on mode that is very exhausting to be in? That's how I felt whenever I made videos that I thought were better. Like in the sense where it's like, even though I didn't feel like vlogging, I was forcing myself to vlog and make content constantly and just really like, but it was just like, that's not how I naturally am as a person. I naturally like to talk about ideas and stuff. But it was just like I was trying to make aesthetic videos, more aesthetic videos, because that's how I wanted to be perceived as, even though that's not how I naturally am as a person. And those videos would never do good. Even though I was following the recipe, or what do you call it, the tutorial on how to be a better YouTuber. It was like even when I kept vlogging my apartment, I was trying so hard to be, what do you call it, the aesthetic. I was like, oh, I want to show people because this apartment looks nice, you know? But it's just like, that's just not how I am. Every time I was opening that camera, I was getting stressed because I would see a crochet ball, and I'd be like, damn, I don't want to move it because if I move it, or it's just like, naturally, that's not how I am as a person. I'm naturally not the kind of person that likes to have an aesthetic apartment and film myself doing something. And I tried. Wallahi, I tried filming myself putting food away and try to film myself cooking, and it was the worst 2 hours of my whole life. But it was just like, but the thing is, maybe, I don't know if this is crazy going spiritual on you guys, but it's like, I think naturally people notice that. They notice that you're not existing as who you truly are. You're not naturally doing something you like to do. And because of it, you have negative energy, and then people don't want to watch it. Am I crazy? Let's keep going. You know how people are like, oh, I got married to this man because he makes a lot of money, but nobody likes to be around this woman. Because she's genuinely miserable. Her existence is miserable, even though she's married to someone who's rich and he has a good social standing. It's just like naturally inclined. Nobody likes being around her because all she does is complain about her marriage and how much she hates her husband. So it's like, what's the point of having what society tells you to have if you're not happy? If your existence is absolutely miserable, you know? So it's like, I realized something clicked, you guys, 2 months ago. Something clicked where I was free. I was finally free. I was like, wait, why should I listen to people pressuring me to get married if my existence will be affected by it? So you have to really push for that. And I think this is something that people learn when they're 40. So even though I'm 27 right now and I'm going through all these crises over and over and over again, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because I am happy I'm learning this now before making life-altering decisions like getting married and having kids. I'm happy that I can just tell my kids now, just exist as you naturally are and gravitate towards what you like to do. Just do the process of elimination and find what you're happy doing. Because one thing that I really was resentful for growing up, even though it's personal, right? But it's like one thing I was resentful for is being like raised to feel like I had to prove I was worthy of existing. Am I making sense? Are you guys keeping up? So basically, the reason why I was a people pleaser, the reason why I was never happy with myself, I had such low self-esteem, is because I had to prove that I deserved to exist, to live. And that's where the clinical depression came in. That's why I wanted to do a backflip off of a bridge. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but when I was in college, I honestly was, I don't know if I should say this, but yeah, pretty much I had clinical depression, basically. I didn't have to take antidepressants. Honestly, the only reason I was too scared to actually tell the therapist how much I did not want to live anymore is because I'm pretty sure I would have had a grippy sock vacation. You know that girl, that meme? Like, the thing is, I was so sure. The thing is, that lady was ready to call somebody. She was like, she kept asking questions and like eyeing the phone. Like she was going to call somebody to send me on a grippy sock vacation. Thank God, because the thing is, my parents didn't even know I was going to therapy, right? So it was just like the way she kept looking at the phone, looking back at me, like she was ready to call somebody to send me on a grippy sock vacation. But pretty much that's where my clinical depression came in, because I was living in a society, pretty much this capitalist society, where we're having a recession. We're going through so much struggle in our country, where people are literally, so many people are going homeless, so many people are struggling in life. And it's just like, how do you explain it? And it's just like so many people are pursuing careers that were once respected that now have no value because it's being replaced by AI. It's like we're living in a society where so many people are not able to find work. But back when I was in college, I was like 21 and I wanted to end it all. Why? Because I did not think that my life was valuable enough to exist. Like, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but yeah, I did not think that I was valuable in any way, that I was a value to society. My existence, like, I did not think my existence was worth anything at all. I did not think I was valuable in any way. But the problem is, that's how sick and twisted people want you to think about yourself. Like, they want you to believe that if your existence is not valuable, then your existence is not worth living. That's the problem. And guys, if I grew up believing that all I needed to do was exist, thank you for existing. All you need to do is just exist as a human being. And that's it. That's all. Just figure out what you need to do. No matter how high or low you're going, at the end of the day, you deserve to exist. Not because you deserve to. It's just you're existing because you exist. There's nothing more that you have to do as a human being. Just exist and figure things out one day at a time. Work hard. Try really hard to find what makes you happy, or that gives you drive or purpose or meaning in life. You know what I mean? That gives you that thrill whenever you do it. But all you need to do is exist. If I grew up thinking that way, I would have never treated myself the way I did all those years. And the thing is, the problem is, when you grow up in an immigrant household, you're raised to believe that you have to be productive, you have to do this, you have to prove things and do so many things. But it's like, no, that's where the clinical depression, that's where the anxiety, that's where the stress and everything comes into. I don't need to prove that I deserve to exist, just exist. So then the thing is, once I learned this, I was just strangely happy all of a sudden. Something clicked in my brain where I finally felt free for the first time. After I'm done with this video, I'm just going to put a a chicken pot pie in the oven and call it a day. Or not even that. I can just whip myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some Lactaid milk and call it a day. Why? Because I don't need to post that I made this. You know what I mean? Like, I just need to exist. And my existence is hungry, so my existence will be fed. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but then if you're not able to find, like, if you're clinically depressed or you're struggling a lot, that's where you just need help. Like, sometimes you're not able to figure it out on your own. Maybe your mind is warped so twistedly that you don't know how to give yourself what you need. You know what I mean? So, like, you know how as a child is throwing a tantrum, or they're crying, like an infant baby, like a 4-month-old is crying, and the parent is trying to find out who, I can't figure this out, and the mom gets really stressed out. So then she calls her mom, and her mom comes in, and she's like, I know what this baby needs. And then she pats the baby on the back, and the baby burps. That's what a therapist is for. Sometimes the therapist is the one that is going to deal with you and your inner child. Why is your inner child crying? The therapist might look at you and be like, I know exactly why that inner child is crying. I know exactly why that inner child is clinically depressed and all that good stuff. So it's like, sometimes you need the meds. So, like, for me, having a therapist look at me, or a psychologist look at me and be like, yep, you got ADHD, your foot's been tapping the entire time you've been sitting here. Having a psychologist basically be like, oh yeah, you need meds. And then for the first time, I let someone else help me with my existence, and I didn't know it at the time. So I started taking the medication, and I started feeling better. But the thing is, the only reason I was feeling better is because I was actually able to keep a job, pay attention in school. Yeah. So the problem is, that's where I get a little bit conflicted. That's where I so my thing is, though, I don't like the whole natural, oh, you need to eat naturally and here, I know it's good to eat healthy. I know. But another thing is, too, I threw away so much rotten produce recently. I bought myself 5 avocados, and I'm telling you because it's expensive. I went to Cub Foods. So if you don't know Cub Foods is a grocery store in the Midwest. I went to Cub Foods and I got myself an entire bag of onions, an entire bag of potatoes, 5 avocados, like 10 tomatoes, lemons, like 5-6 lemons. Because when I went to the grocery store recently, which I really want to kick myself for, is I was shopping against how I naturally exist. You know what I mean? So it's like, my natural existence is, if I cook one thing, and I can make it last for like a week and a half. So sometimes I cook myself a big pot of basto sudahkaris. So how do I say it in English? Just pasta with sauce mixed in, yeah? Somali food, so good. I made it so good. That very same day I went shopping at Cub Foods, I was in this ADHD, productivity, hyperfocus high. And I bought all that produce and I made that food that very same day. You know what happened? It's been pretty much a month since then, and everything is rotten. Like I started to come back to my apartment, and I think I just didn't want to accept it. Everything was rotten. The avocados were rotten. My oranges were rotten too, because I was telling myself, oh, you need to eat more fruit. So I was forcing it. You know how people are like, oh, if you want to be happy, you need to buy more natural foods and eat them. But how I naturally exist, you guys, think, how you naturally exist. If you just naturally are not somebody who likes to cook, and you just naturally exist as a person that does not like to, you know what I mean? Oh, let me talk about it. So the reason why people in Turkey are happier, and why I was really happy as well, is because when I went to Turkey, there was so much food that was just natural, healthy, that I could just easily buy from someone else instead of forcing myself to make it. So like on the streets of Somalia too. So in Somalia, we would walk to the market, and there was somebody who made fresh mango juice. When I said he did not put like a hint of sugar or nothing, nada in it. All he did was take a bunch of mangoes that he finds in the morning. He blends it in the smoothie, and he hands it to us. But here's the thing. Here's the difference between Somalia and Turkey and other countries like that versus America. In America, they will basically blame you for not having access to natural foods. Like, oh, it's your fault for not making yourself an avocado filled healthy salad that you need to eat. No. When I was in Somalia, if I wanted a healthy meal, I could just go to the street and pick it up, and that's it. I have an entire good dinner that tastes good, is all natural, that is delicious. Or if I wanted to eat fruit, I was eating fruit every day, because they had so many smoothies. They had sugar canes in a cup. If you ever eat sugar canes, they taste so good. So it's like in other countries, they're not constantly putting the pressure on you to go against how you naturally are as a person. In this country, people are literally like, oh, if you don't like to cook, you better find a man who does. It's like, but it's like in other countries, if you just naturally are not someone who likes to cook, you really struggle with it, or if you just don't like doing it, in other countries, all you have to do is just walk across the street, walk a few minutes, and bibbidi boppity boo, here's your food. And it's accessible and it's affordable. But in this country, it's like, well, good luck. Oh, see. It's like, for me, how I naturally exist is I just need some bread, peanut butter and jelly, canned tuna, and I'll be set. And then whenever I have that feeling deep within my soul to cook something, I will cook, and I'll cook good, and I'll be very happy and proud of myself. But it's just like naturally I cannot force it. So like on days where I was having long days, the last thing I wanted to do is cook. But for some people, their natural inclination is to cook when they're having a stressful day. I would rather mop the ocean. Yeah? I'd rather mop the ocean until it's dry. I'd rather mop the ocean than bake something after a long day of work. I can't do it. Listen, you can't pay me nothing, not a nothing. You're telling me I have to cook? Absolutely not. No, ma'am. So it's like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when someone is like, oh, see, you're lazy, you need to just naturally go against who you are. It's like, no, but in other countries, the reason why people are so happy is because in America, they're like, well, you're mad that someone put 2% milk in your coffee? Well, you should just make it at home then. It's like, listen, lady, I don't want to buy a coffee machine so that I could aesthetically show it to the world and to prove to people that I know how to make coffee and look how productive I am. I want to go to the store and buy it because it just tastes better at the store. Is that a crime? Is that a crime? Ma'am, girl, bye. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like in other countries, it's kind of like, oh, well, she just naturally is better at cleaning. He's naturally better at cooking. Or she's naturally, you know what I mean? Like, there are times where you gotta go against how you naturally exist. Yeah, so to be a what do you call it? a mature person, I guess, if for me, it's like, even though I don't like cooking very much, you gotta learn. You can't just be like, well, I naturally don't like to. It's like, no, you gotta learn how to make something, right? So I'm not bad at cooking. I'm actually pretty good at it, but it's just like, so it's like in this country, it's like you're punished every step of the way for existing for as you are. So I'm literally taking medication because I can't exist how I naturally am without like not having a job. So I need a job. So yeah, I'm going to take the med so I can keep my job and to be a productive member of society only to a certain extent. But after that, let me exist. When the medication wears off, if I don't want to do anything, I'm not doing it. So pretty much that's all I wanted to say in this video. I hope this is making sense. I'm just sitting in my bed and acting like I'm saying something revolutionary, but maybe this is something people already realized. But yeah, I found my purpose. My purpose is to just be, literally just be as I am. That's it. And it's like, this video might not get a lot of views, but I don't really care. Like the purpose of me existing is to just exist. The thing is, here's another thing. If you're existing naturally as a person, but you tend to be on social media, like you're posting about it, this, that. The thing is, here's the thing. You know how people are always like, oh, why this person became famous and not this person? Why this person became famous and not this person? It's like, at the end of the day, maybe people like their existence more, or I don't know. You know? But at the end of the day, instead of thinking about numbers, just think, well, they're both existing. You know? And another thing I can't stand too as well is like, you know how people are always like, oh, well, I want to dye my hair blonde because I want more attention from men. I want to do this so I can get more attention. Especially the conversation about losing weight. You know, the pendulum that's constantly swinging. So like with the standard of beauty, a lot of people have been saying, you know, not to toot my own horn, but a lot of people were starting to say, you know, hey, you know, when the BBL movement was happening, people were looking at my big trunk behind me for years, for my entire life, from when I was a little kid. I remember at 9 years old, people were pointing at my thighs and laughing and calling them thunder thighs. People were laughing at my glasses that people want now, the siren, office siren glasses. People were laughing at my glasses and how ugly they were, four-eyed freak. People were laughing at my eyes, being like, why you got ching chong eyes, you know, being racist, yeah. But it's like, you know, my eye shape was not attractive to people. My skin color was not attractive to people. I was too dark, apparently I was too dark. And just a lot of things, you guys, I'm not even trying to be funny, a lot of things that I naturally had and how I existed, how I naturally existed in this body was ugly to a lot of people. I was never the standard of beauty to anybody. Never, ever, ever. Am I making sense? Let me finish my point before y'all come for me, before y'all come running. You are the standard of beauty. No, when I was 9, it was like what? 2004. So like in 2004, I was 9 years old, right? So it's like when I was 9, I was being like laughed and mocked at for everything, for just existing. So my whole life I went on just being like, oh, I'm ugly or I'm not attractive. And listen, if you're a Somali girl growing up around other Somali girls who hit puberty faster than you and grow up very attractive, like, I mean, in the sense where like when they were younger, they were attractive as well as when they were adults. And my self-esteem was in the gutter, everybody. In the gutter. So I grew up thinking that I was ugly, just naturally. Wallahi, I really thought I was ugly because people were like, well, because you're not white and because you're not light skinned and you have an eye shape that we don't like, because back then the standard of beauty was big round eyes. Don't let people gaslight you. Almond shaped and hooded eyes were not accepted back then. Yeah, my skin color was too dark for the Somali community. Yeah, but just a lot of things, like, and also my butt size, yeah. Wallahi billahi talai. The only thing my butt size got me was predators harassing me at a very young age, and just people being like, oh, it's so big. Basically, like, you know how people were like, oh, does this make my butt look big? They meant it as, oh, that's unattractive, that's ugly. So I grew up in that society, okay? I grew up in the anorexic, Demi Lovato doing coke, what you call it? Basically a time where you had to be super, super skinny, and I was not considered skinny because people were making fun of my thighs and my butt, and they were also coming from my skin color. So I was living in a time where almost every Somali auntie I knew had bleached their skin. I'm being so dead serious, okay? So it's like, what irritated me more than anything was the BBL movement. All of a sudden, my butt size became like a thing that people were like, naturally what I had growing up that people viciously bullied me for, and not just bullied, but I was dealing with creepy men who were they weren't even looking at me, they were just staring back there, even though I was dressed modestly too. Crazy work. But anyways, imagine going your whole life being told that your existence from top to bottom is not good, not attractive, everything about you is not good, and then all of a sudden the pendulum swings and people are like, there are girls with big round eyes trying to make their eyes look almond shaped, trying to get the siren, whatever siren. Damn, if you want to see a mermaid or a siren, go to the beach. The Haitians tell you not to. Hell, even I'm telling you, if you hear ha, don't go. But hey, go. Demo. I don't care. Go die. I don't care. Listen to the sirens, I guess. But it's like, you know how everyone's like all of a sudden, oh, we love big lips. I don't have big lips, but I have lips, okay? So it's like I don't need to get anything done. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, oh, almond-shaped eyes are in. Having thicker eyebrows is in. I was made fun of for my eyebrows too. But I mean, I did wax them a lot over the years, so they became a little thinner. But it's like what irritated me, right? It's like all of a sudden, going years and years and years being told, oh, you know, thunder thighs, you need to lose weight. Ugh, look, she is too much. It's too much back there. To a complete pendulum swing. Oh, well, oh, I love your eyes. I love your eyes. Eyes. So yeah, like what irritated me about this whole situation, let me get to the point. I keep talking about this. But yeah, pretty much what irritated me was now my existence means something. Now my existence is good. And here's the thing. If I had money back then, if I knew how to make my butt smaller, if I knew how to lighten my skin, I mean, I would have never lightened my skin, to be honest, but it's just like, imagine years of, like, I don't know, thinking genuinely deep in my soul that lighter skin was better. When I was a kid, though, not when I was an adult. Nope, I liked my skin. But it's like, imagine growing up, being indoctrinated for years and years that you are not skinny enough, and that your thighs are very unattractive, and that your butt is very unattractive, and your existence, your skin color, basically who you are as a person, your eye shape, everything about you is not good. Imagine growing up your whole life being told this, right? And then all of a sudden, people are doing a complete U-turn and being like, oh, like not genuinely looking at me like I'm very attractive. And the thing is, like, it just, like, in the beginning, I was just viscerally angry, like, very angry about it. Just so mad at the world. I was like, Now, it was just like, when I was 23 or 24, I was so done. I was looking at people like, ugh, what do you mean? You went, and the thing is, the fox eye trend, do you guys remember that? I was looking at the fox eye trend with the biggest side eye. I was like, So, y'all were coming from my eye shape. My whole life. Y'all were coming from my... And the thing is, too, SZA, Rihanna, when more black women were becoming famous on social media and being praised for how they were, big forehead, too. It's like I was made fun of for having a big-ass forehead. Now it's okay. Now it's attractive. Now my skin color is a beautiful skin color. And here's the thing. The only way you can be happy in this world is if you tell yourself that you are allowed to exist as who you are as a person. Because one thing I learned is like the reason why I was so irritated with all these trends, BBL trend, skinny BBL, or what is it called, slim thick, and blah blah blah, and people constantly run into me like, oh girl, but you are the standard of beauty. You are the standard of beauty. It's like, girl, kiss my ass. The reason why I'm so like apathetic to it is like, I think even back then I realized it. It's like, well, you guys basically bullied the crap out of me for who I was, just existing as who I was. And I always felt ashamed of it. But it's like the whole time I could have just existed peacefully if you guys left me alone. Like, I literally used to look at my thighs and be like, is there any way I can make them smaller? And if I had money and I was older and I would have like shrunk my butt somehow, some way. I wanted it out. I was so tired of like the negative attention I got from creepy men and how women were just like, that's a lot, and doing a complete U-turn. And then now people hyper focusing on it like, wow, she's just natural, all natural. It's like, girl, please leave me alone. You know what I mean? So it's just like, one thing that was really interesting to me is like, well, the pendulum swung again. Everybody running to go get some Ozempic. But it's like, look, girl, the problem is, here's the problem though. I realize you just have to exist, everybody. You just have to exist as who you are. The reason why people were obsessing over the way, I'm not going to be narcissistic and be like the way I looked. But yeah, if I'm going to be honest, every little thing, the natural hair movement, how all the girls who had no curly hair were forcing it, trying so desperately to get curly hair when I had, curly hair. Skin color, women painting themselves blackface, ooh-wee, and everyone debating up and down. White women painting themselves brown and getting in trouble because they kept saying it was a tan, but they started looking darker than me because they chose a foundation that was like 7-8 shades, not even 10, maybe like 20 shades darker than them, and they were looking like my shade, maybe a little lighter if we're gonna be honest. Let's show my forearm. Yeah, like my forearm. Yeah, there you go. They were my forearm shade. And they were like, oh, but this is how I naturally tan. So there were girls, white girls. I never thought I'd see the day. If you're white, don't take this personal, but I never thought I'd see the day where a white woman would actually want to be darker. Guys, growing up, I was literally indoctrinated to think that my skin color was ugly. So to see white women actually paint themselves dark because they wanted to look, not black, they wanted to look racially ambiguous, but still. And it was just like, it made me realize something. I'm like, well, if I listen to what society tells me about what's ugly and what's not ugly, I would have gone under the table a long time ago and shrunk my butt. If I had the money, I didn't have the money, and it's also against my religion. So I didn't do it. All right. The same way I didn't do a backflip off of a bridge is because of my religion. So thankfully, my religion keeps me from doing a lot of things. Yeah. But it's also what was really fascinating to me, right? It's just like naturally how I existed as a person was unacceptable like 15 years ago. Unacceptable. So why all of a sudden, when it became the standard of beauty, everybody was like, oh, congratulations. Why? Because my existence is now currency, because people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and costing their own lives to go under the table to have my butt size, my thighs. Some women are like going through like losing their reputations by blackface because they're trying to darken their skin. And there are some women going and doing eye surgery to make their eyes almond shaped because they think it's prettier. Microblading and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but pretty much when I was so unfazed, I was so done with society around that time. So I was really thankful I did not take it to heart, because guess what? The same way that pendulum swung and it went from pencil brows and white skin and blonde hair to kaboom to like pretty much SZA, how she looks now, is like the standard, or Rihanna, having like that slim, thick, dark skin. Not too dark, apparently colorism is still a thing, but yeah, like pretty much the pendulum swinging. The reason why I did not feel hurt or bothered in any way is because I knew that pendulum was going to swing. Because if, let's be honest, you guys, as a woman, the hardest thing to do, but the bravest thing to do, is to just exist and not let anybody, and no matter how much people bully you, social indoctrination, society, television, advertisements, no matter how much they'd really try to push and push and push on you that you have to look a certain way, you have to do things because it's ugly and it's gross. As long as you learn how to like cut that and learn how to exist as who you are free. Even if it's hard, sometimes you might look at yourself and be like, I don't know. But it's like that's the point. You need to learn how to exist as who you are as a person. That is the way you can free yourself and be happy and content. Because now the pendulum swung, everybody. Now low-rise jeans are back. Now everybody and their moms, like, you see how many people on TikTok are talking about how fat is ugly and I would never go back to fat and you need to do a water fast. People are literally describing an ED. They're describing an eating disorder, everybody. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, well, I could never be fat. Ugh, I was treated so terribly by other people, guys. You should just lose weight. You see how quick that pendulum swung? How everybody's talking about how thigh gaps were always cute and having a butt is too much, and how guys, you need to dye your hair blonde and more attention from men. Oh, here we go. Because I didn't give a damn. Like, everybody was always so mad at me about why I was mad, about how they were praising me for looking the way society was accepting of at the moment. Because it's like, no, if I had money, I'm pretty sure I would have shrunk my butt somehow, some way. I was so tired of the attention that I got. I was tired of being objectified. There you go. Pretty much, you need to sell yourself constantly in this society. You have to be like a commodity. You basically have to treat yourself in a degrading way, especially as a woman. You have to constantly objectify yourself and be like, well, I naturally have this, and I have this, and I have this, and all the other women are like, ooh, period, sis, as you should. And it's like, no, you're only hype about it because no one's gonna bully you now for having these things. So, like, why wait until it's being praised to speak up? And then as soon as the pendulum swings, everybody's running to the shadows. You know what I mean? So it's like, imagine my surprise. All these women being like, period, sis. Oh, like, you know how people were like thirsting over women that were like very voluptuous, like plus size, but like they were like, And everybody's like, damn, who's the shorty in the back? Who's that in the back? Who's that in the back? Who's that in the back? Everybody's like, wonderful. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, fat people disgust me. Guys, you see how quick that pendulum swung? So it's like, imagine being the woman that was hyped for existing, for your existence, only because society decided that your existence is worth praising, worth being, like, how do you say it? Like, pretty much once society accepts or decides that your existence is worthy, you're being praised and put on a pedestal. But the second it's not, all of a sudden, everybody and their moms, girl, I took Ozempic because all you fat people are ugly and losers, and that's why. That's exactly why. So I realized, guys, the reason why I'm talking to women in particular right now is because, listen, these plastic surgery people, society, I'm not even just plastic surgery, y'all. Society does not want you to exist and be happy with your existence, especially as a woman. That's where the billions and billions of dollars come from. But here's the thing, though. I like the way I look with makeup. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like the way I look with makeup, but I now like the way I look naturally only because I had, even if it's hard though, even if you don't like the way you look without makeup, you need to learn how to accept. You don't have to love, but you have to accept how you look and how you exist naturally, and then maybe work on it. I don't know. Don't listen to me, okay? But it's like, yeah, you gotta learn how to naturally exist as a person. And it's like, if you are like not 100% enthusiastic over this idea of getting surgery or doing something because you want to, because it's always been something that bothered you, not because, you know what I mean? Like, and it takes time, yeah? You can do it. Who cares? And you can regret it later, but that's fine. But it's just like, once I realized I don't need to do anything to myself, and when the pendulum swings, I just have to lay back and lay low while everybody is like, oh, thigh gap, thigh gap. Oh, straight hair is perfect. Straight hair is better than curly hair. I hate my 4C hair. I hate my hair. Girl, kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Like, they want me to constantly chase, like a dog treat, my worthiness as a woman from the way I look and the way I choose how to exist my life. Nothing is good enough, you know? So once, guys, once you learn that your existence is never good enough in society, you're free, y'all. You're free. Because here's the thing. If I gave birth, yeah, and I had one kid, guess what they're going to do? Where's the second one? And then if I have the second kid, oh, the second one needs a third one. And then if I have a third kid, oh, look at all those kids. If I get married, yeah, and he beats on me, let's be real, yeah? If there was a DV situation, if I stay, why would she stay? She's setting a bad example for the kids. But if I leave, oh, but she broke a happy home. If I get married young, it's like, oh, why would she get married young? Oh, she has no purpose in life. What a pick me. But if I got married later in life, what took her so long? Guys, and it's like, listen, you gotta learn how to exist within yourself, no matter how much society is like coming at you. And that's the hardest thing to do, because once you learn that your existence is all you need in this world, there's not much people can do to come after you. It's like, yes, it's gonna take a lot of pain, because sometimes people treat you bad based off of the way you look. Some people treat you bad based off of the decisions you make in life. But it's like, but there's not much they can do. Unless it's like Serena, that poor woman that passed away because her best friend, her. It's like, I mean, there are extreme examples of you naturally existing and as a person and being happy with who you are, and people coming and sabotaging it. But let's be so for real. What's the worst that people can do for you naturally existing, though? So the thing is, to be fair, it's easy for me to say because I'm younger and I don't have no wrinkles, but I do have some gray hairs from the stress of working. That's the story for another day. But yeah, I just wanted to sit and talk about this because, like, I feel like I just naturally figured out my purpose in life, and it makes me very happy. It makes me very happy, actually, very happy. So it's like, yes, there's nothing wrong with naturally being influenced by societal trends and stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But if you like to do something and like 2 years from now it's not trendy and people say it's lame and boring and blah, 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 I can't stand, listen, y'all, I can't stand people who are like, oh no, the pendulum is swinging, everybody. What do you mean? Skinny is back. I'm scared. Buckle up, sis. People, especially in a society like here in America, this society is built on your insecurities. It's built on the fact that you feel like you have to be worthy of existing. That's the whole point of this country, y'all. So that's why whatever you do religiously or non-religiously, if you're not religious, meditate. If you're religious, pray. If you're neither, just meditate regardless, because it's nice. It helps your brain. But just ask yourself, what do I want to do? And just try. Even if you can't. Like, if all you want to do in this world is sleep, and that's your existence, fine. But also, ask yourself, do I have low iron? Do I need help? Do I need to go to a doctor? Am I clinically depressed? You have to find that balance and realizing you are worthy of existing. You deserve to exist, and that is your purpose in life. But also, even if you are naturally existing the way you are, take care of yourself the way you would take care of a little baby. Even if you would never have a kid in your life, think about how a mother tries to find desperately, like let's say a 3-year-old throwing a tantrum, how the mother will really try to help that child. And if you need extra help, that's when you go to a therapist. But outside of that, ain't nobody. Listen, I'm not gonna say that people viciously bullying me for being dark skinned or like having darker skin or my eyes or blah blah blah. I'm not gonna say with 100% confidence that that wouldn't affect me, but you have to live in a mindset like I can exist with the way I look because I deserve to be unique and I deserve to have like a face. Because it's like at the end of the day, y'all, it's not like we're celebrities or something. It's not like we have to go on a runway where people are taking photos of every single angle of you and me. We're not singers, famous singers. We're not, what you call it? Listen, people watch my videos, yeah, but it's not like a lot. It's not like millions. Girl, please, like even if people are watching this video with like a what they consider an unattractive angle, blah 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 blah. Oh, she's not wearing any makeup. Look how many people are gonna watch. It's like, girl, just exist. That's your purpose. You're welcome. So the thing is, though, imagine all those years of having clinical depression and just realizing that's it. I'm so frustrated. So it's like, yeah, pretty much. You know what I'm going to do after this? I can watch anything. Oh, I need to watch something because no. Girl, if you want to turn on your what you call it? Your laptop or your TV and all you want to watch is what? Like, I don't know, a kid's movie? Shit. Do you want to watch Dragon Tales? Then watch it. You know what I do? I watch Hey Arnold or SpongeBob or Jimmy Neutron. Ain't nobody give a damn. Because why? Oh, you're not a kid. It was made by adults and it has adult humor. Watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's really good. Oh, well, we need to watch this because who said so? Go back and dig in deep. Like, if you want to watch a show from the 80s, who's stopping you? Listen, I'm telling you, it just makes me so happy. But here's the thing. Of course, people are going to pester you. But once you build a bubble where you're like, and you actually live being happy with your existence and just existing and just telling yourself you just deserve to exist. You don't need to do anything to prove to anybody nothing. So yeah, anyways, that's the end of my video. I wanted to talk more, but it's like, it's been an hour at least, maybe 2 hours. But yeah, like I've been pretty happy. I'm happy with this video, okay? I'm happy with this video. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thank you for watching. But yeah, pretty much. Okay, bye.